Hey, welcome to another episode of Miss Erica's Crazy Costume Catastrophe. This week, Miss Erica's dressed like Big Bird. First, we're going to look at where we're at in our big Bible timeline. Jesus is still teaching and doing ministries. A lot of the Gospels talk about what Jesus was doing, but there's also parts where Jesus himself is talking or teaching, and both help us learn a lot about why Jesus is a good king. This week, Jesus is in Galilee, and we're going to look at him teaching. He's actually going to teach us how to pray. So I found some really cool kids who are going to read from Matthew 6 for us, but they also found a really cool way to act it out. Check it out.
Matthew 6:5-13. When you pray,
don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly on street corners and in the synagogues where everyone can see them. I tell you the truth, that is all the reward they will ever get. But when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. When you pray, don't babble on and on as the Gentiles do. They think their prayers are answered merely by repeating their words again and again. Don't be like them, for your Father knows exactly what you need even before you ask him.
The first part they read is all about Jesus telling us how not to pray. He says, don't be like a hypocrite or somebody who says one thing but means something else. Don't pretend you're like putting on a show where you're praying just to get attention or to have other people say nice things about you. That's not what prayer is about. And then he says, don't just babble on and on and on and on when you pray, hoping that all your words will help God hear you better. He says that's not how you should pray.
pray like this. Our Father in heaven,
may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today the food we need. And forgive us our sins as we have forgiven those who sin against us. And don't let us yield to temptation, but rescue us from the evil one.
The part they just read is what a lot of people call the Lord's Prayer. We prayed it a few weeks ago on Sunday with Pastor Steve. And it's a prayer that Jesus made up to teach his disciples and us how to pray. A lot of people think that prayer is hard. And it might be when you first start. I like to think of prayer like a muscle. And if I never work out my muscle, then doing things with it is hard. But if every day I'm using my muscles, then after a while it's not hard. And I get used to doing it and I get better at it. And that's how I like to think about prayer. Prayer is just talking and listening to God. And just like a muscle, the more we do it, the better we get at it, and the stronger we get at it. So Jesus says here, pray like this. This is the way I want you to pray. Think of it like a path in the woods. Me and my kids have been taking so many walks on quarantine. Maybe you guys have too. And some of the walks were brand new when we started. We'd never been that way before, and everything about it was new and different and sometimes a little nervous because we didn't know where we would end up. But now that we've walked some of these paths over and over and over and over again, my kids could do the whole thing without me if I let them. They've done it so many times that now they understand the way and they're really familiar with it and comfortable with it. And if I told them, hey, can you walk to the ant park? I know they could do it. That's kind of like what Jesus is saying here. He's saying, this is the way that I want you to pray. And the more you pray this way, the more familiar you will get with it, and the better you will be at praying when you pray the way I am teaching you to pray. This week, I want you guys to pray this prayer the way Jesus prayed. Maybe you want to read it as a family and act it out like the Her kids did, or maybe you just want to read it and pray it in your own words before bed. But I want to encourage you all to pray this way and to practice praying the way that Jesus taught us to pray. All right. Bye, guys. Hope you have a great week. Thanks for watching another episode of Miss Erica's Crazy Costume Catastrophe.
Didn't you